news. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. All right, so we are here at the Retreat 2022 Sales Sniper with the Black Prince of Piff himself.
You know it. Black of the berry.
The sweet of the juice.
Oh, you know it.
That's right. So we're here at the Retreat, and we're in the middle of a sales derby. How have you found the Retreat so far?
Oh, no, amazing. Like, thank you for putting it together. Like, super dope, super fun.
Yeah, so yesterday, obviously, you had the training. What did you think of Derek Carver?
Oh, Derek was very entertaining. I was very, it was a good time.
That's what everybody else does. That's why there's so many fucking fat people. There's so many people that are just stuck in the same job for the same amount of time, not making progress. That's why there's people that aren't hitting their benchmarks, because they just get stuck in this rhythm and this routine of just complacency, and it's just a fucking disease that you have to be ever vigilant about, and if you see it, you have to be willing to take the next step and cut it out. And that's doing the fucking U-turn in the middle of traffic.
Good time.
I think that my favorite quote from Derek was, "I wake up every morning,
wishing the motherfucker
would." Yeah, I thought it was good though. I thought a lot of the sentiment was echoed throughout, like what we've been talking about as well. I think it was really good because a lot of my training was about just, I don't know, doing the work.
Yeah, call
right?
the damn leads.
Yeah, call the damn leads. And then from there to have Derek come in and talk about like, it doesn't mean anything, but it matters, and you only get so much time in this world, so you might as well do your best at it and make as much money as you can while you're here.
Yep.
Do it in the right way. Don't fuck people over. So I thought, like, even though, like, I didn't know what he was going to talk about, I thought there was some great synergy between what we were saying, and I think that the guys got after it, Like today, Mac, he smacked like 4 deals today, and I came to him, I was like, well done. I was like, it's crazy what happens when you just sit down and work, isn't it? Right? He's like, yeah, the speech yesterday was good. I thought it's been really good, though. Like, it's sort of, I think when people come together in these environments, it just goes to show, like, the more you can do this, the more productive everyone will be.
Yep.
I'd love to be able to open up 10 offices. New Jersey office. I'd love to be able to open up.
I'd be there.
All of them, you know what I mean? But one thing at a time.
Yeah.
But, like, what's something that you've taken away from this retreat?
Besides wishing the motherfucker would.
Yeah.
And calling the leads, it was the breakdown of the time aspect you did earlier. Like, It was like, oh, shit. It's one thing to actually, like, work. But then when you really sit down and audit your work, like, are you really working? And if you're not, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And, like, for me, that was like, okay, that's I need to check myself as well, just make sure if I'm going to dedicate time away from my family to work, why not make sure that I'm working and making as much money as I possibly can?
Yeah. That's a big one. Like, so for those of you who weren't there, like, basically what I said, if you do 45 triages and 15 sales calls a week, it's 26 hours, which is a part-time job.
Yeah.
And a lot of closers would call that a big full week, I thought the same way when I was a personal trainer, right? The average personal trainer does 24 sessions a week. Most sessions are 45 minutes. That's like 18 hours a week. And, like, they would call that, like, that's full-time. They'd be like, man, I had a big week this week. And so when I was doing 60 sessions a week as a PT, like, at 40, but that's 40 hours.
Damn.
That's just a full-time job, So, like, a lot of people, they just, because they don't, like, block their time out to do certain activities, they sort of, like, do these winding roundabout work days where they get fuck all done, but, like, they feel like they're always working. Like, I remember I spoke to, like, one of the SDRs, like, a year ago. He was like, I'm working 80 hours a week. Like, the fuck you are. I was like, pull up your diary. Like that. And sure enough, there's like 15 hours a week worth of calls. Dang. And it's like, bro, like what? But the problem is you think you're working 80 hours, which means to you are, which means like you're just not productive.
Yeah.
You're just busy.
Like literally when you were sharing that, it was, you basically reframed me within a reframe. It was like very meta when you broke down the time thing, because even on sales calls, I ask people, like, when a lot of people, they may not have, like, a tangible goal in their mind of where they want to go.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. Let's just hypothetically play a game. Let's say if you wanted to drive from New York to California, what's the first thing you do? And, like, I don't know, put gas in my car. Okay, after you fill up, then what do you do?
Look at the map.
Exactly. And that's
where
exactly right. It's like you put it in the GPS, where am I at and where do I want to end up? And for me, while you were talking, it was a light bulb moment. It was like, oh, shit, like, a lot of people are just wandering around aimlessly, hoping to get to where they want to go.
Yep.
But it's because they've never, like, put in their calendar, where am I and where do I want to go? And it's like they don't block any time out. And
you don't just start driving.
Exactly.
Like, because you can go in a different direction. And the thing about, like, especially when you're looking at goal setting, right? Like, and I think shooting is a great analogy, because if your barrel's off by a millimeter, at 100 meters, you miss by a centimeter. That's a small miss. But at 1,000 meters, that's a 1 meter miss. So, and you can extrapolate that out. Like, imagine if you're driving 5,000 miles.
Yeah.
And you start off 1 inch to the left. Like, you're going to a different country. You know, like, you're gonna end up on a different goddamn planet. So, like,
Fucksville.
like, yeah, having a clear pathway of what you're gonna do to achieve your goal is super important. And I just think of, like, a lot of these kids, because, like, these guys are kids, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're talking to Josh and all these guys.
He just turned 12.
Yeah, he just turned 12, right? You know, you got the lens cap on, you know, right?
I was like, why does this look so dark?
You know, they just don't think, they just, like, they're keen and they want to do stuff, so they kind of, like, aimlessly jump around.
Yeah.
And they just start doing activities, but, like, those activities are not targeted.
Nope.
And then from there, like, they don't get the results that they want from those activities, so they stop doing the activities.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like they don't realize that one, failure is necessary. Like, you fuck up, fine. Like, it's fine, man. Like, I'd rather you fuck up aggressively than just sit there doing nothing, taking a base.
me and he just had the same conversation over there. But a second thing too that was really a big eye opener was the different pathways as well that you talked about, which was like, oh wow. Internally, I knew it, parts of it, but having you actually make it super clear, it was like, okay, like, because I think what a lot of times too, especially when it comes to SDRs, anybody coming into like an entry level role,
Yeah.
sometimes, like, especially the coaching and consulting space, I think it's perverted the expectation that somebody ought to have.
Yeah.
Because some people believe that I'm going to come off the street, like you touched on, I'm just going to make a whole bunch of money right up front. And what that does is that kind of poisons the perspective as what reality should
Yeah.
be. And if you think about it, promising people that you're going to have no experience, no skill set, come in and just make an executive's salary, because the average American executive makes like what, $80,000-$90,000. So if you have a young person now come off the street, or fresh out of college, and you promise them they're going to make multiple six figures, when that doesn't happen in the first month, now they think, fuck, this company was terrible. Where no, in reality, your perception was off because nobody told you the truth. One of the greatest things you did for me was literally when I came to you, I was like, hey, I heard you're doing pretty big things. I want to learn. One of the first things you told me was, hey, listen, I would be doing you a big disservice if I just, like, you sold but you haven't sold. So what I recommend you do is not do closing calls and just get a whole lot of activity. And if you do that, then in a certain amount of time, in a year or so, you pretty much would be pretty comfortable. And that literally, that's what happened.
Yeah, I feel sorry for dudes, man. They get tossed in the deep end.
Yeah.
And, like, they're just, like, given a straw and said, breathe. You know, like, and it's the weight of responsibility of people who are being asked to close, like, especially in our industry, like, you know, sales calls cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, it could be $400, $500, $600 a sales call. All of a sudden, like, they're going to get fired in like a week because they burn through 10 calls. They cost the business owner $5,000. They make one $5,000 sale. They had to get 20% commission or 10% commission. All of a sudden, the dude's down $15,000. Of course you're not going to last. So, like, they're never given the time to bed themselves in. But, like, they never should have been put in that environment to begin with. It's just not fair. Like, you don't put, like, soldiers who just finished boot camp on a fucking raid in Afghanistan.
Damn.
Like, there is a gradated approach to the things you have to do. And, like, selling coaching consulting is a particularly difficult thing to sell. Like, it really is. It's hard.
Yeah.
I would say second only to fitness, right? Like, high-ticket fitness is tough. Right, like that's a man's game right there. Best person I know is a girl named Laura. she fucks those dudes up. I taught her myself.
Good
She's
shit.
ruthless. But yeah, so like it's an unfair position, and I think like the problem is a lot of these businesses are like they get people in through saying, hey, I got a ton of hot leads, big commissions. And it's like, and sometimes, you know, it's true, but like, man, if it's too good to be true, it usually is.
Yeah.
You know, like I've had the opportunity to sell some scams in my day, and I haven't, right? But I remember one guy offered me like 40% commissions, and I was like, 40% commissions? And I looked at him and I went, what are you not doing? Like that.
What'd he say?
He goes like,
He's
I
one of
was
me.
like, bro, I was like, no one can afford a 40% commission. I was like, what are you talking about? I remember once we were sitting down at lunch in Sydney, and we had one of the sales guys in, and he was like doing one offer with us and one offer outside us, and he was
Yeah.
getting 50% comms, right? And I remember talking to him, and I was like, you know how you can tell when you're selling a scam, right? And I took him through like all the sort of things that you could, and he just saw his like head tilt, and he was just like realized he clicked. He's like, oh fuck, I'm selling the scam. I remember I took a photo of him. I was like, that moment you realize you're selling a scam. He fucking stopped selling the next day.
I was about to ask, like, did he stop selling it?
Yeah, like that's the thing too. Like I get that people can get like, because salespeople are like champions of their offer.
Yeah.
So like they want to believe the best about it at all times, and like I don't think many people can intentionally sell scams for long periods of time. But like if someone comes to me coming from sold a scam, I would say, when you found out, how long did you wait to quit? And if the answer is more than a day, then like you don't belong here.
At all.
Like you don't belong here.
You know what? Let me ask you, what would you say over the last 12 months is like the biggest challenge that you've seen as far as developing like people?
I think like, how do we maintain culture while we grow? Which is difficult, but I think also people have to realize cultures will always ebb and flow. Like it's
Yeah.
never going to be constant, you know, like rises with the tide. And I think like, especially like with the messaging of a lot of our development sessions have shifted towards like do the fucking work. But
Yeah.
like the reason why we're doing that is because like we're seeing a shift in the market
Yeah.
to where like book a cold is going to die for certain industries.
You actually said something that I was like, huh. It was along the lines like that, but it was about the Web 3.0 coming out. You're right, because right now it's like, okay, people pay Facebook money to advertise, or YouTube, whatever medium. What happens though if like that isn't the case moving forward?
Exactly.
Like
What happens?
what's the plan? And if there's no plan for that, then you're basically at the whims of whatever, where it's like you having us actually focus more on kind of essentially recession-proof skills and like things that it doesn't matter if like Facebook's just the bed or YouTube.
Yeah.
You could call and
like the key is having time to fix it, like having time to figure it out, right? Like we got a really smart marketing team. Like when iOS 14 came in, didn't affect our accounts. They knew how to fix it. They were prepared, all that kind of stuff, right? You know, like Tay didn't get affected at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so like if something like that is happening, like it doesn't happen overnight. It's a transition. You know what I mean? But what there will be like, if there's quick adaptation in a marketplace towards like a new thing, then that means that like there's not as many people on the old thing because they start using the new thing. So it's like what we have to do is every salesperson, in order to protect their own income, has to have like a little ecosystem around them.
yeah.
You know, and it's like I'm teaching this not because like you want to make more money, like that is a byproduct of it, but it's like I need you guys to be secure
Yeah.
because like we're gonna need 3 months to fix it, right? We got to figure out all new things, set new sales processes, new way of doing things, potentially new technologies, you know. And so like if everyone's got that time up their sleeve because they've got, you know, 2 or 3 deals a week closing from follow-ups, referrals, and they're doing all that activity. Like, you know, I've told everyone so many times to do referrals.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, hey, who does referrals? And it was like 4 people put their hand up. It's like, guys, like I can't make you do it. You know what I mean? Like I can track it, but I can't make you do it. So, you know, it's one of those things. It's like if everyone gets in the habit of doing those things, you know, you make a sale, you book them in 21 days, ask for a referral, then everyone will be really, really heavily protected and shielded against like an eventuality of something odd happening.
Yeah.
You know, like no one saw COVID coming.
At all.
No one. And like that was a huge shift, and like who knows if something else will happen next year. Like, I remember when I was like years ago, the giant volcano went off, giant ash volcano went off, I can't remember where, but I was in Greece at the time, and all flights, phones, done. Right? For like a week. Like there was nothing, man. Like how do you continue to live and make money even though there are circumstances like that? You know, you're stuck in a country, you have limited resources, you're like, all right, cool, I got to make something happen. You know, and so like those kind of things, like ideating about those like weird scenarios and thinking like, what would I do? It's a lot easier to plan and prepare and actually execute something if you have like a decent like base to work from. But if you're just having to miracle shit in the last minute, it's fucking tough, man.
What I'm seeing too, it's not just like salespeople, but even business people that they're like being super, I want to say reactive rather than proactive. What do you think that kind of comes from? Is it like fear, or is just like businesses used to doing things a certain way and like they don't want to change because they don't believe that change is actually coming?
I'm not sure. Like I think it's funny. Like, you know, everyone thinks that certain businesses or once you get to a certain level, like everyone's figured it out.
Yeah.
And it's running smoothly, and it's just not the case, right? Like, like you got a Tesla and it'll be fucking dudes just putting out fires. You know, like we recently started working with a really big company. They're doing $220 million a year, and they hired us to fix their sales process. They're terrible, right? Like,
how you really feel?
Like, dude, terrible. Great product, like phenomenal product, but like, and like really good at what they do, but like their entire sales staff is useless. Like, and it's because they've just never been taught. It's not like they're bad people or like inherently really bad at sales, but they're just like, they're basically checkout chicks.
Wow.
Right? And so, but they've never been taught process. They've never been taught how to do things or objection handle or scripts. And you would think a company, like a world leading fast growth company, lots of money, right? Like they've borrowed hundreds of millions of dollars, like nearly $1 billion in capital they've raised. They're making hundreds of $millions a year. You would think that sales for them, like they would have had it sorted, but it's just not the case. And even their marketing is meh, right? so you know, and like we had another really big bank, like one of the big banks in Australia, come to us, and it's like they're spending $27 million a year on branding, and they have no KPI.
Wow.
And it's just like there is no level of business in which people have figured it out, right? And so, like, everyone's kind of scrambling, trying to work it out and do the best they can. I think the people that, like, I think people can get caught in a really, really reactive state. And, like, what I've tried to do to get out of that is put systems and structures and people. So, like, I've sacrificed profit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's really what I've done. Like, I mean, I could do the head of sales role and be the CEO and fucking do this and do this and do this and not have some of the executives that we have. Like, I would limit the growth of the company for sure. Like, don't get me wrong, because I just couldn't do that much. But, like, they are always going to be a little bit more reactive.
Yeah.
But because I'm removed from the battle, right, I can be more proactive. And so, like, my job in the company is to, like, be the proactive one, see the things coming that they can't see because they're in the fight.
Yeah.
And then from there, provide the support ahead of time. So when, you know, it does eventually happen, then, like, they have the tools to win the fight. I just want to say I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you.
And thank you for everything that you do here. For those of you who don't know, Rode is the chief of staff of Sales Sniper.
And handsome.
And handsome.
Thank you, brother.
All right, guys.